On this episode of DPV, we're rebuilding this Edelbrock 1407 carburetor. Welcome to DPV. I'm Josh, and today we're rebuilding this Edelbrock carburetor. I picked this thing up on trade. It's been sitting a little while, so it needs to be gone through. This is going to be for the Big Chief. Rebuilding the motor, you can see got all the pistons and stuff. There's the engine. So upgrading from, a Holley 2-barrel. So I'm pretty excited to have a little more power, a few more CFM, and hopefully a better carburetor for off-road. So let's get into it. First thing I want to do is kind of get the outside sprayed off a little bit, get some of the excess dirt. It's really not too dirty. Then I picked up this little rebuild kit, so should have everything in it that we need to get this thing set up. And hopefully I can kind of figure out what metering rods and whatnot I have in this thing, so kind of know what my baseline is for tuning. So let's get after it. So I'm still learning about how these things work, but these here are your metering rods. So basically, like when you hit the gas, there's a spring in there underneath this little dude here that fights vacuum. So when you're idle and you got a ton of vacuum, this thing should be kind of push all the way down to the bottom to close the valve. So this rod is tapered and it goes into a jet tapered hole and closes it off. And so at idle, when you got a bunch of vacuum, this should be down. This spring here fights the vacuum and allows it to open up as soon as you hit the gas. So if you've got a big cam, this spring might be too stiff, so you might have to put in a weaker spring. That way at idle, this thing can actually close. So that's one thing we'll have to look out for with the Jeep. Since I did put a little bit bigger cam in, and then plus I've got that single plane torquer to intake, I don't know if I'm going to have a ton of vacuum at idle. So I definitely need to be paying attention to that. Alright, so I'm kind of learning as I go here. So if you're a first timer, you can kind of use the same process. I just like, if it's the first time doing something and I'm not real familiar with it, I'd like to try to lay everything out exactly where it came out. So on the correct side and everything in front to back. So we've got the primary and secondary venturis, got our metering rods for the like power valve type thing, needle and seat here, and that one I ended up having to use a scraper to get out because I didn't have a wide enough screwdriver. Let's see, there we go. Takes a flat blade, but it's kind of wide. I'm going to get rid of the electric choke, so now I just gotta clean everything really good. So let's go ahead and get this thing cleaned up, and then we'll open our kit and see what gaskets we can replace. Alright, got it all apart, got it cleaned up pretty well. First thing I noticed, I opened up the new parts here, and there's this little ball and this little brass piece here. I'm like, what the heck are those? I didn't pull any of those out. And what it is, right here, it's called a check ball valve and a check ball weight. So that ball goes down in that hole, and then the weight goes on top of it, and then this is called a squirter. And basically, when you give it throttle, this gives you a little extra gas or whatever, but it needs to have some resistance, and so that's what that little check ball is for. And that's probably, my guess, why this was so black in here. It's probably running real rich because it had no resistance. It was probably just dribbling gas all the time. So I'm glad I'm going through this, even though it looked fairly clean. That's the first thing we're gonna do is get that little guy in there. Now these here, they just get a gasket. You want to make sure your gasket surface is good and clean. And I pumped, some carb cleaner through all these different holes. All these different holes here, you want to make sure they're free and clear. So just gonna put the new gasket on those guys. Same thing with these guys. Just make sure you spray out all the different holes. All right, now that I got all those in there, the next step is putting the metering jets back in. And the kit does not come with new jets, so you just got to put these back in. They look pretty good. Might try to run my little pipe cleaner thing through them real quick, and then we'll screw those in. And it also did not come with new metering rods, so we'll be putting these back in. But I am going to take a note of what number's on there. The number's so small in there I can't really read it, so I'll just make sure I put a mic on them before I put them in, and I'll take note of those numbers. Maybe I can figure it out. Alright, now we gotta put the idle adjustment screws in. And I will get all these adjusted right when I get it installed. Just kind of getting them in there for now. New spring for the accelerator pump plunger. Alright, so there's a few things we can do on here before we set it on. Put the new plunger on. Washer that goes on. Get the filter in there. That little washer there. Here I'm adjusting the float level. And according to the instructions, I'm supposed to have 7/16 between the float and the body. The needle just hitting the float there, and so it says put a 7/16 drill bit between the float in the body and just have that touch. We're good. You just bend it right there. But you don't want to bend it against the needle. You don't want to ruin the surface on the end of that needle where it hits the seat. Good. Right on. All right, all buttoned up. There you have it. That is a quick and dirty rebuild on a Edelbrock 1407. But I deleted the electric choke. My Jeep is set up for manual choke, so I'll figure out how to hook that linkage up on here. I might need a bracket or something on the backside here, on the intake or something to hold that cable, but it's all good. Anyway, that is it for this episode. If you want to support the channel, we've got merch on Teespring, a bunch of different t-shirt designs and some stickers. Link is in the description below. We've got a new way you can support the channel. So if you are interested in saving money on your prescription medications, there's a link to RX Spark in the description below where you can save up to 80% off the cash price of your prescription meds. So go check that out. It can help you buy some new parts by saving money and help me buy some new parts by supporting the channel. So that's pretty awesome. You can shop on Amazon via any of the links in the description below. A bunch of different tools on there that we use on the channel. And last but not least, just like, share, and subscribe to these videos. Thank you so much for watching. Wheel it, wreck it, wrench it, repeat. See you next time.